Let me know if you can hear any background noise.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. We're recording right now. So hi, everyone. Another episode of African Diaspora Talks. This is where we try to have that linkage between Africans in the diaspora and us back at home. The importance of this is to secure that information flow that has been there since the Renaissance. I think Kwame Nkrumah was one of the very few people, very first people to actually speak about this. So it is our duty as this current generation to actually push that mandate forward. And today I have with me beautiful, handsome, smart intellectuals under the Mandela Washington Fellowship program. And with that, I'd really like for them to introduce themselves. One of them I happen to be related to, unfortunately, or fortunately. But yes, we love them all the same. Beautiful people, could you please introduce yourselves?
All right, let me go first. My name is Shange-Ndamona Mungoba, and I'm from Namibia. I'm here on the Mandela Washington Fellowship in Mississippi, in the United States of America. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Ts'itso Monaheng, and I hail from the mountain kingdom of Lesotho, a very beautiful country with a lot of beautiful scenery and tourism and the cleanest water in the world. Yeah, I'm excited to be part of the show and to join you guys about our experiences here. Thank you.
Okay, as I should have mentioned, this is more of a laid back type of show, really. I started this with the intention of just having that information flow and just having it be as relaxed as possible, because I feel like most times we as the youth present something that's too prim and proper. But with that in mind, could you please tell us about your journeys and how you came about to come into the Mandela Washington Fellowship program and some of your experiences thus far?
Right, I'm a food technologist by profession. So that means I was exposed to food manufacturing, food preservation, and a lot of information regarding nutrition and fortifying foods. So doing that, I still had a question mark on me serving my purpose. How do I ensure that food manufacturing doesn't impact the environment negatively? How do we ensure that the food remains nutritious? And how do we make sure that we can have or avoid food waste, for example? So then that led me to a path of doing further studies in food systems and management. So that is a holistic approach when it comes to food production. So ensuring that you produce food safely from the very first point, which is in the agricultural space, and that when it comes to processing, we do it efficiently with high-tech and modern engineering solutions. And when it comes to supply chain disruption, we are prepared to ensure that events such as COVID-19, that there is no food shortages. So exposure to food resilience or supply chain resilience. And that's how I sort of came about the Mandela Washington Fellowship, because I have a huge intention of transforming the agricultural business space.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Mr. Monaheng.
All right, sir. Thank you. Well, I did mention that I come from Lesotho, right? And Lesotho, well, we all know that it's completely surrounded by South Africa. So we know that we heavily rely on South Africa for like food, you know, for imports to actually feed ourselves. So back in, I think, well, I grew up in the agricultural space. Yeah, as you might know.
I don't know you.
as a person that I'm related with.
Yes.
So yeah, but basically we at a space where we got serious in that space of actually producing food when we realized that there's need for youth to be in this agricultural space, you know, and then we developed a brand called Kasi Farm that actually concentrates on actually improving the output, fresh produce output within our local communities. And then we supply to retail outlets fresh from the produce, and that is the mandate. The mandate is to actually help empower the youth out there to actually take stock of our own and stop depending on foreign imports. So yeah, that is where we began. But I could also mention that during the times of COVID, you know, 2019, 2020 was really tough for all of us, generally, in terms of, you know, there were lockdowns and people couldn't move. And then we actually found it to be, you know, we turned lemons, all the way to call it, turning lemons into lemonade.
Lemonade.
Yeah, it's actually, we found it as a chance to actually be at home, produce food so that our people are able to eat, and then we also inspire people in the process to actually do the same as well. So I'm in that space. I'm also in the winery space too. We have a wine called Kasi Farmhouse Winery. Yeah, that we have collaborated with Mashimi Wines that we also produce locally. I could say arguably one of the first local wines in the country that we have. Yeah, so we're trying to inspire, man. We're trying to actually move and move the envelope forward for other people to actually, yeah, follow and take it forward.
This is such a beautiful thing, because it speaks to just the preservation of food, firstly, and secondly, just the sustainability that I find is lacking the world over. Just like hands, and how you can move that culture of understanding that sometimes you just need your hands is a beautiful thing. How long have you guys been in the States?
We've been here for the past what? Three
weeks.
weeks, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and we're here for the next 6 weeks. The next week will be in DC for this big summit, where we'll be joining our other African brothers and sisters from different states, right?
Okay.
Because how many were we selected?
I think we might be about collectively 700, and that it makes up 49 countries. And I think to date, from 2014, when the program started, when it was launched, we're looking at 5,800 alumni. Yeah, and the selection I think was over how many applicants?
That's in Lesotho? No,
total. Collectively, okay. I'm not sure of the collective, but in Namibia, it was 1,500
Namibia alone.
Attempted, yeah. And then out of the 1,500, 16 had been selected, with one additional alternate from a previous selection, if I'm not mistaken.
You guys are really the cream of the crop. Like, you guys are really the best of the best. My question is in two parts, and ladies first. Firstly, what have you learned, and how are you trying to improve upon what you've learned and actually share it with the rest of Africa?
All right. Well, for me, I learned a lot about the American culture in terms of networking. So we were prepared prior to the trip on just how to have healthy and constructive and effective way of communicating with people from various cultures. So I found that very important, because the world keeps on changing with globalization. Your neighbor might just be someone else other than what you're used to, but how do you engage with people in the community to ensure that it remains peaceful and that we can tap into each other's knowledge, share ideas that can be, I don't know, useful to this ever-changing society. Number one, this program, I don't know if it's, the excitement is just surreal. It's sad because I had to travel to America to engage on a deeper level with someone from Lesotho. Although I've lived in 4 countries, I still felt like I had a lot of learning to do. So it's not only Namibia and Lesotho here, there's other countries. The total makeup is 23 countries, 23. Right? 23 countries. So we found ourselves being exposed to people that are in agribusiness, but in different parts of the value chain, including marketing. So we have people in the poultry feed that are doing poultry feed manufacturing and generally animal feed. We have someone from the Gambia that is working on or has running the biggest poultry farming business, and we have fish farmers. We have who else do we have before I miss somebody?
Yeah, people from marketing space. Yeah, but predominantly it's majorly farmers, people who are actually in the agri farming business.
So being exposed to these various experts, I've noticed that we already have a huge synergy, assuming we continue working collectively together upon return. But the main intention of the program is to form bilateral benefits between Africa or African countries and the US. It's just that there are a few barriers, as we all know, that are associated within the African continent itself when it comes to trading. But we're looking to resolving that. The marketing expert wants to ensure, for example, that the African trade agreement becomes easily understood, because the document or the agreement itself is not easily understood, and that affects the process. And once we have everyone not only sign but ratifies the agreement, then we'll be able to exchange raw material or trade with each other or countries, and then that would help us just work together as a continent, as opposed to how it's currently working. We have the Western countries where we heavily rely on, but that will kind of affect the synergy process that is currently happening. But even just with information amongst ourselves, as opposed to importing products from a neighboring country, I might ask that fellow to come to Namibia or wherever I find myself, or implementing a business, and they train whoever it is, and we work with the ingredients or resources in that specific region without having to trade necessarily. So this is a twofold program. I'm learning culture, I'm learning how to conduct myself in a business space, and also just exploring what the possibilities are with my fellows wherever they find themselves. So I'm very, very excited and honored to have this opportunity.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Well, I was pretty much, summed it all. But what I can tap into is that, there's a saying that says, show me your network and I will show you your net worth, right? It's very true, my guy. So thing is,
very true.
We exist in a global space. They say the world is a global village, like now.
Yes.
So we have to tap into others' synergies and others' networks, because something that they might need in Namibia, that is of high need and demand, I might have it in Lesotho, and we can bridge the gap there. you know, but how will I know when I'm in my country handling my business and everyone is just, you know, in their Lego boxes, you know what I'm saying? So this has facilitated that network within ourselves as Africans in terms of actually seeing what gaps can we actually fill amongst ourselves as an as the continent, right? And as well as to find out in America, what are the possibilities? You know, I was doing a bit of research locally here about winery. And in the state that I'm in, there's only 2 brands that come from South Africa, you know, when there's a lot of brands that the South African market have to offer. So it says that, you know, in as much as America is a big country and a big, with the different states, they still lack, you know, what we have to offer as the world and as Africans. So it's through these networks and these fellowships that we're able to be exposed to possibilities in terms of actually growing, you know, ourselves and growing the continent and forcing bilateral agreement trades, like she mentions. Yeah, so that we actually, you know, exist in a better and industrialized and, you know, a better world generally.
Let me add on that. So from the perspective of a food systems specialist, I always tend to think of disruption. So we have 2 brands from South Africa, winery, but then what happens then if there's a flood, as it happened currently in South Africa, or any other social situation, natural disaster? That means those 2 brands might then be disrupted in terms of the availability of the product, but how do they become resilient? They become resilient by having to have other brands incorporated in that market. So if we have Lesotho, or if we have Namibia, or we have any other brand, that might be a surplus or somewhat a backup compared to any other source, such as, let's say, the Ukraine-Russian war, some business that has relied on resources from that region that currently faces conflict. This is where we would be bridging the gap. So I would want more African businesses to try and see how they can tap into this market. But as much as I want that, specifically for Namibia, we face the challenge of supporting our entrepreneurs. Sure, that's happening, but it's not happening as well as I would have wanted if I were to be the one running the country, you know. So what's happening here in Mississippi, they have a division in their trade ministry, or they have a division strictly for export, and what they do is they help entrepreneurs tap into various markets other than Mississippi or the United States. They help them with language barriers, testing the products to the requirements or parameters required by the respective customer. But we don't have that where I'm coming from to that extent. The support is there, but if we are supporting our entrepreneurs, but only to a level of local success, and you're looking at a population of 2.3 million people, it means that the profit margin isn't going to be as successful as having to export these indigenous products into various markets. So that's something that I would want to assist our government with. And what else? What else am I missing as the intention for this product?
I think that should be like the most of it. I'm so sorry because I realized that our time might be running out. So we only have like 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Within this 5 more minutes, is there anything else that you guys would like us to know? Because I've learned so much already. I wish I was smart as you guys.
For me specifically, I would want a program not to be designed only by the US government, but it should be supported by the African Union. But the African Union, to me, the progression is not happening as well as I would want it to be. So what are our heads of states doing to ensure that they relinquish their powers to this union in such a way that they can also have a similar program? So we come to the Mandela Washington Fellowship, and then to support our ideas upon return, we join into the AU. And then we implement with the support of the AU, because we will need a lot of policy changes, especially for me as someone who wants to be in policy making. So yes, let's continue working together. Let's have this conversation as much as we're having it now. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Beautiful thing. Lenyora.
Yes, sir.
Let's finish up in like 3 minutes left.
3 minutes.
As Bangena, boss.
All right. No, I can just say we have it. We're not far off, you know, where we are. Let's, you know, keep the faith. Let's keep grinding and doing what we do in our spaces. Because what I've seen about America, they, you know, how we get sold about this idea in TV of how America is different and whatnot. Well, at least where I am and with the states and the experience that I've seen.
Yes.
It is not that things are different. It's just that they're in a bigger scale, you know. It's not that they're doing anything that is too unfamiliar from what we're doing, you know. They're just doing it a bit, you know, bigger magnitude, you know. So I think we're on the right track as Africans, like the leaders here that we have, like people who I'm particularly part of the group of, that are doing phenomenal things, you know. People are taking, there's this lady who works with this plant that is dangerous for the aquarium, you know, and she turns it into baskets and she employs people in the community to do that. And it's very beautiful, something that is really not, you know, healthy and needed, you know. And, you know, there's a lot of people doing phenomenal things. So what I could say to my fellow Africans and my fellow youth is that let us keep the faith and, you know, keep the spirit alive and not, you know, deter. I know that entrepreneurship can be tough at times, and you might find like you're not doing anything, any impact. Just this podcast itself, you know, relaying the message across is doing something. Someone will get this message and then actually be filled with hope, and the spirit alive, it becomes alive again, you know. So let's keep advocacy alive. Let's keep doing what you do, and let's keep the faith alive. I think that is all that I could say. And okay, one more thing that I saw about Americans, right?
Yeah.
They seem to be, you know, committed to what they do. You know, when they say something begins at a certain time, they mean it, you know. True. When they say, let us communicate to ensure, you know, our well-being, you know, that's what they do. They are like, they're like, I don't know if you know the Chinese and the Indian culture, how it works.
Time and everything, true.
Yeah. So they are loyal to each other and they work together and, you know, about what they want to achieve. And that is what I take to heart, and actually something to actually think about when I go back home.
Blessings. And with this one last minute that's left, I'd like to thank you guys so much for coming through. Thank you for all the beautiful information. I am very, very much inspired. It's been a beautiful show. And with that, see you guys next time.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.